Morning, everybody. We'll start by standing and saying the karakia. Well, good morning to everybody and everybody who's joining us live and who might be zooming in. I don't know who that may be. To start the morning off on behalf of us, just a minute, I'm a bit delayed there. Yes, no problem. My apologies. No problem. It's all right. We understand technology has a mind of its own sometimes. On behalf of Asif, who is late arriving this morning, he would like to bring to people's attentions and have a moment of silence in remembrance of Christo Trout, a conservationist. He was a person that did a lot of work around the country, but specifically on Banks Peninsula. And he had many conservation, he's an unsung conservation champion. Did amazing work in the high country, mainly focused on possum trapping, wild deer and pig hunting over the last 3 decades. And it was a tragic accident in Dogs Bay over the last fortnight. Just take a moment to remember him. Right, so you're just noting, thank you for that, noting that this meeting is live streamed and being recorded if you want to watch it back later, or if you ever can't attend and you want to attend on our live stream, you can do that, and we welcome that. We'll start with the apologies. Received an apology from Gillian Fraser, Howard Needham and Asif for late arrival and early leaving. Can I have a mover for that, please? Tyrone, seconder. Luana, all those in favour? Right. Carried. Thank you. Declarations of interest. Is there anything that anybody's noticed on the run sheet meeting minutes? Not, just keep that in your front of mind if that comes up to make that obvious. Confirmation of previous minutes. Anything anybody wants to bring up about those meeting minutes?
I have.
Yes.
It's actually probably more of a comment for Liz because just in terms of the public forums and stuff, how does it work? Because we had a public forum in Akaroa a couple of weeks back, and that gets where do they get minuted?
Information session minutes. But we're looking at corrections.
Right. Oh, okay. Well, I was just thinking, is it if it's okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Right. Everybody's happy with the minutes? I have a mover. Luana, a seconder. Nigel, in favour of that, please? Against? That is carried. Thank you. Public forum. So we have welcome up. It's the Littleton Community Response Hub. We've got Felicity representing the Project Littleton and speak to the board regarding the Littleton Community Response Hub. Come on up. Thank you for coming with that. Wherever.
Felicity Jardine Tokonoa. Hi, I'm Felicity Jardine and I'm a social worker who's currently employed by Project Littleton. I've met most of you before. This is the second time I've been to talk about the emergency hub. So this is just to give you the opportunity to get an update and hear what it is we're doing. So we've been operating for about the last 12 months. So for those of you who don't know what's happening, the provision of natural disaster response and support around the country has been pushed out to communities through community boards. So civil defence in town is now just 8 people. And in the event of a natural disaster, communities will have to look after themselves for at least 3 to 7 days, depending on where you're situated and what the emergency is. So Littleton's picked that up in the development of an emergency hub response, just like lots of other communities around Canterbury are doing. So we've been in operation for about a year now, training volunteers and doing all the policy writing and all the back work associated with being in a position to be able to open up a pop-up hub if the situation should require. Some of the funding we got from the community board was to enable us to prepare a flyer that will go into every home in Littleton. I've got 2 of these. I can only let you have 2 because they're too precious. So they will be going into homes in the next 3 weeks, 2,000 of them delivered around Littleton. And at the same time, we've partnered with FENS and we'll be delivering the FENS notice at the same time. So there's there. So we've been using the Wellington natural disaster response management model, and I have worked to be prepared to that. The pop-up sites that we're able to use will be, first of all, the rec centre in Winchester Street. If that's not available, 40 Winchester Street. If that's not available, the school, main school. And we're reasonably ready to start. So there won't be such things in natural disaster, and never again. But if there was to be one, we do have a response team available to fill the welfare arm that Civil Defence would have normally filled here. So cup of tea support, information hub. We're working in collaboration with the fire service, the police, St John's, and we've got good relationships with all of those people. It won't be a frontline service. Any questions? Kathy's pretty on to what's happening here.
So not a question, but just a comment. I was up in Auckland the weekend, and they looking at disaster management stuff as well. So if you hear
I think it's a trendy topic at the moment. The other thing just to say is there are these little hubs are popping up all around the harbour, and we now have a coalition of hubs around the harbour that meet once every 3 months, so that we're looking at how do we support each other. So if Diamond Harbour had a disaster, what would we do over here to support Diamond Harbour, and the other way around? And we've also been meeting with Redcliffs and Cashmere and Sumner.
That's preempted actually what my question was going to be, Felicity, which is good. And so brilliant, thank you for doing that. Are you aware of any kind of activities sort of happening further beyond, like in Baskeby's Pass, or?
We've been in conversation with Pam from Akaroa, so we know what's happening there. And once these collective meetings, once every 3 months, people are coming from all over the place actually.
That's wonderful.
To be part of it, yeah.
Brilliant, thank you.
And we just use those times to make sure that we know what each other's doing, and to bring in people who are specific interest to us. For example, the big issue is communication, and I'm sure that's no surprise to anybody around this table. Every emergency service is operating on a different wavelength. There is no overall communication strategy in any direction whatsoever. So that's the biggest issue.
Thank you. I mean, it's fingers crossed we don't have any natural disasters, but I mean, barely a winter goes by when one community or other on the peninsula doesn't get cut off in some way. We saw that last winter, and Pam was really great in that regard. So it's, we do need to be prepared. So appreciate it.
Thanks so much for putting this together. I have seen this before. It came round because I do a bit of communicating on the events that are happening in Wairewa, and it came through the network. So I saw it, I love the illustration that it's very eye-catching, and the detail that you've got in there is fantastic for what people need to know at their house, but also bigger than that, if they need to go out of their house, what they need to do. So this is fantastic stuff that's happening, and I know it's hard to get to this point. There's
Yeah,
been a
it
lot of
is.
work
Mhm.
it has taken to get to this point, so well
So
done.
thanks to Alex Hallett for the design.
Okay.
She did the design and I did the words. So yeah, I think she's captured exactly what I wanted, which was, can we engage you in reading this?
Yeah.
Quite handy having an internationally renowned
It
cartoonist
jolly
just
well
down
is
the road as
actually,
well.
yes, yes. So thank you to the board for funding her to do the
Fantastic.
illustrations.
So happy to
Nice.
support. Thanks, Felicity. Appreciate your time. Right, so good to see. Sustainability by design. So we've got Paul Barrett. Can you come up to Paul, yes? In Duncan?
Yep.
Welcome, welcome. This is regarding the Littleton rubbish humps, isn't it?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Littleton Hunts. Yeah, so just to introduce myself for people who don't know me. So my name is Paul Barrett. I run a business called Sustainability by Design. Been running that for 20 years. My background is I was originally part of the City Council Target Zero program, Pathfinder companies. I used to work for Ravensdown Fertiliser Cooperative, won some environmental awards around that, and tutored business resource efficiency at Christchurch Polytech for 3 years. Being part of the community, I came across Duncan, and we had a conversation one afternoon about waste and collecting waste around the community. And Duncan's obviously a fire soul that's about waste and cleaning up waste. So
yeah, I've been collecting litters since I was a kid. And when I moved here to Littleton 20 some odd years ago, I just sort of started doing it again on my own, wandering around with a 60-liter bag and picker upper and filling it up pretty much. It all took just an hour to fill a bag up. And then I decided I wanted to do it broader than that, get more hands involved. So I'm on the Project Littleton board. So I approached them and they said, yeah, we'll support you. So we've had about half a dozen litter hunts, I think.
Yeah.
And we don't have to go very far. We meet at the Fresh Choice Car Park. And we do it, clean it up, come back a month later, it's all the same when we started a month ago. The other big thing I've been trying to do is to push for getting recycling bins on London Street. Because they're just most of the stuff we pick up, the bulk of the trash is bottles, cans, recycling stuff. And the pushback from council has been is that just they need to have someone who can process that. But we don't understand why they're doing it residentially. Why can't they just do it through the street?
yeah,
And I've talked to the Mackenzie District Council because on a trip down to Tekapo and Twizel, they've got recycling bins in each of those places. They're sort of butt ugly. They're giant, they're yellow, they're just too in your face. But I think there's examples like the ones down at the marina. I don't know who made them. I haven't been able to find out who made them, but they're nice stainless steel. They're sort of arty looking. They don't stand out. If we get something close to that and get 4 or 5 or 6 on the main street, it would be great.
Yeah, and I'm part of the Littleton Harbour Business Association as well, and we've had a discussion around that. And the businesses down the main drag are very keen to have recycling bins as well. So so we're really behind that. Actually, if we flick on to the next slide up there, there's the data. So as part of the rubbish hunt, I weigh the waste and the recycling, and that's kind of what we've collected over the time and the dates that we've done it and the number of people that have come along. So we put it out there for the community, and people around this table have been and helped out with the sorts, which is great. And the idea is it's kind of community kind of led process, but we would like to in the future not have to do it. The idea is if the systems and structure are set up appropriately and people kind of get the idea that we could either stop doing it or at least drop the frequency of it, because every time we do it, it seems to be the same amount of waste shows up.
Yeah, I think it's like the teenager's room where the mother keeps bothering the kid to clean up his room, doesn't do it, then mom cleans it up. You'll see, you just wait for someone, and I think we're adding sort of a bad example by cleaning it up so that people then they said someone will come and do this for me.
The next slide's got actually if you look at the slide at the bottom there, that's the bins that Duncan took a photo of. Part of the hunts has been that there's vouchers given out for kids collecting the material as well. So Project Littleton kind of support it from that perspective. the business association support it from the point of view of putting it out to our members and making it available. So the short-term goal really is the recycling bins on the main street. And we'd really like them designed and manufactured in Littleton, just because then it's a local process.
Sorry, Tim, you got one more minute.
Yep, sure. Okay, and that's really due to the fact that we just want it to reflect the character on the edge of Littleton. But we'd also like, as Duncan mentioned, we'd like the City Council to assist and yourselves to assist supporting us to kind of get the word out there about what we're up to. And then we'd like the City Council to service the recycling bins on the main street and provide us the data and let us know how well they work.
Right, so where are you up to with this?
This is the first step. And,
Oh, fantastic.
We're just presenting what we've been doing
Yes.
and just kind of,
And
saying, hey, look, this
talking
is
about
us.
the goals
Yeah.
ahead. Okay, so there's the first step in that.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. Any other questions?
I remember putting in a request like this very early on in my community board.
Yes.
Career actually, and it's good to it's good things take time, and it's good that it's.
Can I just make a comment?
Yes.
I'm from Akaroa, and I'd be quite happy for Littleton to make the bins. That's fine. I've always had this concern, right the way through. I used to do walking tours through there with the cruise ships. And the amount of stuff, people get quite perplexed. They go up to the bins. They've got these wonderful compactable bins, and they're walking around up and down, working out where they're going to put their recycling. So rubbish.
Right.
Yes.
And it's actually not a good look, I don't think, no, especially the amount of tourists that are going through there.
Definitely supporting that whole thing of getting it out of the system so that you don't have to keep doing so many little punts.
And we're really looking for, I guess, guidance about how do we progress this? Like if you've got any ideas about who we need to go and talk to or what we need to do to kind of get this kind of over the line, then we're really keen to find out.
Good question.
Yep.
Staff advice. Yes. Yes, so we're happy to further that request and see what advice we can get back to you in regards to where to next. So we'll seek advice on your behalf.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great words.
Yes, well done.
Throwing this rubbish around.
Yeah, right. You got all these camper vans coming in front of you.
It'll be exciting, Kiwi.
Right, let's welcome Wendy Everingham to the table from Littleton Community Reserves Conservation Award Team. Welcome, Wendy.
Thanks very much for having me. I'm afraid I don't have overheads today, but we all should have got a report 2 weeks ago, so you'll know what I'm going to talk about. So today, for me, seems perfect timing for me to gift you a botanical report on Whakaroa Reserve. This gift comes from hundreds of community members and their thousands of hours of work who developed and implemented the Native Forest Regeneration Program under the former Reserves Littleton Management Committee from 2005 to 2022. And there's a couple of them here in the audience today as well. Thank you for coming. The former committee won an award on behalf of our community for our community developed conservation work program in Urumau Reserve. This award prize money and planting money that was bequested to the Reserve Committee was applied to this botanical research project. A small team of us, 3 of us, employed Dr. Melissa Hutchison, an independent ecologist, to undertake the work for us. So today, it's quite coincidentally that you're also receiving guidance from the new Reserves Committee about a triennial plan for Urumau Reserve. So with your new Reserves Committee structuring coming under the Local Government Act, you, the board, continue to hold all the delegations for the management of both of the reserves under the Reserves Act. So later in the meeting today, you're being asked to sign off on plans for Urumau Reserve. So the report that we're gifting you today will help you to make informed decisions about Whakaroa's future when it's time for you to sign off on that report. So the key points that have come from Melissa's report that I just wanted to highlight. Her report reinforces the need for a management plan and good kaitiaki of Whakaroa Reserve. And she gives quite a list of things that you could consider for effective management. It's your delegated role to have a management plan for this reserve. So our team thinks this should happen as soon as possible. The work she's come up with also complements all the previous botanical surveys done and enhances the body of knowledge about whakaroko. She's also identified quite a few special things in the reserve that really need consideration when any work's done in the reserve. She identified a tiny grasshopper that I have to say I've never seen before, that's quite rare, and lots of rare and threatened plants. She also highlighted that, you know, there's more in the reserve than plants that need to be treasured. There's lots of things underground as well, so don't undervalue the things you can't see. She also highlighted the importance of weed control. There's one really special plant up there called the Littleton Forget-Me-Not, and there's hardly any left. So there needs to be a weed program around that. She also recommended that no further tracks should be in this ecological sensitive area. She made a suggestion of limiting planting to low flammability species along the southern boundary of the reserve for fire reduction. And finally, she confirmed the former committee's belief that passive regeneration was the best strategy for the reserve. However, she noted that that didn't mean no active management of the area. So our team really believes this report will enhance your understanding of Whakaroko Reserve on Middleton's boundary and enable you to make really good decisions about it.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. What questions do we have to?
That's a very good report.
I have a question around what we can do as a board to support this. I mean, we can accept it.
Yes.
And let's get that. We're not talking about the reserve committee, are we? No.
You are basically in charge. You have all the delegations for the reserves in Littleton, the gazetted reserves. So your new reserve committee will come with you for a plan for Whakaroko Reserve.
Mm-hmm.
And you should view their new plan in conjunction with this. This is information for you so that you can make informed decisions.
Yeah.
So it's an independent piece of work, aside from what you'll get from your local committee, that we just think will help you make a better decision. So it's reference material basically for you, until the time when you need to make decisions about Whakaroko.
It's very detailed, so thank you. Appreciate the time that you've spent.
Just a quick question.
Yes.
Thanks, Wendy. What's been the feedback from Ngāti Wheki, if any, on this process?
Well, Riwi Couch was on the former reserves committee, and he supported the project. I have to say, no one from Rāpaki has seen the final report yet. So you people got it 2 weeks ago, and when I leave here today, then I'll be sending it out to like all the hundreds of people on my email list who've helped with plantings and reserve work, and I'll be sending it to, well, Luana has a copy, Riwi will get a copy, and Andrew Scott will get a copy. I would imagine they should be happy with it.
Thank you for the amount of work that you put into this and caring for, you know, above the ground as well as below the ground in the area. Really appreciate that. And yeah, we accept this. Thank you. So thank you.
And as I said, it's hundreds of people who've helped over the last 20 years, hundreds. So it's nice for them too to sort of wind all our work up with this report.
Fantastic. Appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
Yes, thank you.
Next, we've got John Bennett. So you're here today to talk about the Governor's Bay roadworks. Come on up. Sorry, what was that?
The Banks Peninsula Road.
Banks Peninsula Road.
Yeah, hi, I'm John Bannock, representing the Governor's Bay Community Association today. As you've highlighted, I want to talk about the roadworks, and it's not so much the roadworks, but rather the notifications associated with the roadworks. So to get this out of the way, firstly, not complaining about the roadworks. I think there's a general consensus that the roads within the Banks Peninsula have been underinvested quite significantly, so certainly not going to bite my nose to spite my face on the complaining about the roadworks. Certainly not complaining about the contractors. The contractors have an environment which they rules which they engage in, and a lot of the time they go out of their way to do that. From a professional perspective, being able to close the road 100% and do your stuff gives you a far better solution rather than trying to do it in piecemeal to cater for everybody. So the roadwork's been completed and that's fantastic and all that sort of stuff. My concern is actually more to do with the notification process, particularly from the council. There are two notification processes, which is my understanding. There's the major projects notification, which is run by a separate team within the council, and they determine who are the affected parties and then approach the affected parties. And then there's the maintenance side. And the maintenance side is generally run by the contractor. The council sets up rules and says to the contractor, for the contractor to determine who are the affected parties. Now, in the last, what are we now, 6 to 8 weeks, there's been three 5 significant works between Littleton and Governor's Bay, and that's involved complete road closures. Now, the interesting thing with those road closures is that the signs on the board, the illuminated signs, the information on the website were very rarely coincident. They were very rarely saying the same thing. So that set up an air of confusion straight away. The school raised its hand and said how are the kids going to get to and from school, because the initial road closure was from, I think it was about 8 o'clock through to 5 or 6 o'clock. So the contractor then created an opening to allow school traffic to pass through. We had an incident where a resident who was obviously outside of the school parenting age, and he was refused entry because he wasn't carting kids, but he was there within the time frame of the road opening for the school, which is just, so that had a bit of an event. The local fire brigade, which is a volunteer, wasn't approached. So the volunteer could end up in a situation where the volunteers were unable to traverse the roadworks to get to the actual fire station. The Governor's Bay Community Association wasn't approached. So the local community found out through somebody looking at the council website indicating the roadworks. Now, this was also compoundedly made more complicated by the fact that there were 2 road closures happening in 2 separate sites at different times. And so people didn't know which portion was open or closed. So as I sort of said right at the start, I'm not complaining about the roadworks. I'm not complaining about the contractor. The contractor ended up by shifting their work program around to suit as many people as they could possibly, and worked quite late to get the work done as quickly as possible. So, you know, those guys did a fantastic job, and we're really happy to actually have the works done. But I really think that the council needs to understand that the Banks Peninsula area isn't a town. We don't have multiple detour routes available to us. In the actual flyer from the council, it says available detour 1 hour. So, which isn't actually a detour. And we had people in the bay cancelling appointments, and then for the roadworks to change. There was no consistency between information, action. And so I think that what's the way forward here? I don't like people coming to me with just problems. They need to have some ideas. So one potential idea is for the council to accept that for future maintenance works, and let's be honest, everybody in the harbour area here is going to be affected at one stage or another, because we do not have alternatives. Since Summit Road is closed, there is no actual viable detour process aside from Gibbies. But if we ended up with Gibbies Pass being closed, or that whole intersection around the Wheatsheaf, then Diamond Harbour's detour is through Port Levy and Little River. So yeah, I don't think people are going to be overly happy. It's not going to happen. So there needs to be I think the council needs to have a third category outside major projects and maintenance works, which is areas to enable the contractor not to be the person determining who is the affected parties. I don't know if the contractor contacted all the heavy haulage people, because this road here is the oversized vehicle route. So I don't know what would have happened if a big bulldozer turned up there. He would have had to sit around for half a day. There's no room for him to turn around. So I would like the community board to go back to the council and express concern about the notification in terms of roadworks that are going to impact on the access to the various communities within the wider Banks Peninsula area. I don't think in this case there was actually a viable alternative, but information is power, and consistency of information is really, really important, and then we had none of that.
So what I'm hearing you say is that it's a difficult and technical situation because of it is.
Yep.
And you know a lot more about it than we do in regards to how it's affected people. You've heard from people, maybe some of the folks that live in it as well, but just also that you're thinking that a third category, because it seems to be slipping through the gaps between the major works and the maintenance.
Yeah.
You're feeling it's slipping through the gaps there, and that the contractors may not be understanding the detail of it.
Yeah, so I wrote to the council through Howard, and the reply back was from the maintenance team saying this is maintenance works. The notification process, I'm paraphrasing quite heavily here, the notification process goes through the contractor. If there's special interest groups, then obviously the council may highlight that. It's up to the contractor to manage that process. But it's also up to the contractor to determine who he regards or who they regard to be the affected parties. And the contractor and the council don't have sufficient staff to carry out a wider broadcasted catchment. Now, within town, completely feasible.
Yeah.
But if this isn't a major project, but it's maintenance works requiring quite significant road closures, and let's be fair, there's a lot of places which are going to be similar between here and Diamond Harbour. You know, there's places like Chartres Bay which we're not going to get through.
Okay. So I feel like we understand the situation. What we can do from here, I guess, is to express the concerns about the communications and potentially the gaps that are there. On behalf of you from the community board, if we can do some comms around that. Does that sound appropriate?
We were asked to have the idea of a third category Banks Peninsula and ask for some stuff.
Okay, that would be more specific. I like that.
Mike, and thank you, John, for raising this. It's we've had a few calls at 7 AM asking me to Tyrone, fix the road. What can you do? Geez, I ended up calling a project manager on Fulton Hogan who had COVID at 7 AM, but he actually did a wonderful job. Anyway, but in my experience, like senior managers at council do actually understand the challenges that John's raised really well. But yeah, there just does seem to be like something's sort of falling down, sort of down the line. I don't know what it is, but just in terms of process. So yeah.
So we'll investigate that third option.
Yeah, I just think that, as I said, I don't like people just coming with problems. I think the solution is may not be the right solution, but it's just
yeah, if we get some momentum somewhere. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Appreciate your time. Okay, so we've got no deputations by appointment, no presentations of petitions, reserve committee meeting minutes. I'll take those all as read, unless there's something that somebody wants to talk about there. Oh yes, come on up. Sorry, yes, Linda. Please come on up.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You have before you the minutes of 5 of our reserve committees and some points of interest in those. Cass Bay is planning the planting of 16 to 1700 plants over the next few months. Duvershell have replaced their individual rubbish bins with a rubbish and recycling station and trailer. Littleton Reserves Committee will be presenting their Uramau triennial plan to you later today, and you'll see an additional resolution in this report for the co-option of Cliff Mason as a Littleton Reserves Committee community representative member, and this will bring their committee up to 8 members. Pigeon Bay is making progress with their management plan, and Diamond Harbour's main focus for the year will be planting School Gully, and they anticipate needing 1,500 to 2,000 holes dug for plants.
I said good.
Oh, good.
That's not in my approval.
Yeah, good. That's good stuff. Fantastic. Okay. No questions from that? Fantastic. Very thorough, Linda, thank you. I think we can move that we've received the minutes. Will I have a mover on that one? Too hard?
I'll move.
Okay, yeah.
Got me,
Okay, thanks, Nigel. Can I have a second, please? Yep. Thanks, Luana. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Thank you. And Linda's still up there because of the Akara Museum Advisory Committee meeting minutes.
Yes, so the meeting was held on the 15th of May and the notes of the workshop and information session that preceded the meeting are also before you. The committee noted that they encouraged the community board members and councillors to view the Takapuneki exhibition at the Akara Museum. The workshop was held by Dan Smith, who's the collections manager at the Akara Museum, to go over the museum's acquisition and disposals policy, which is currently undergoing its 5-yearly review. And a report with a draft revision of that policy will be presented at the Museum Advisory Committee's next meeting on the 21st of August.
Fantastic. Such good work, yeah.
say about that.
Me, Nigel?
No, well, I could talk about the gun policy we got, but that's all.
So you wanted to move the
Like a bit of move.
Yeah, Nigel's ready to move. Yep, okay. Seconder for that. Yes, Ryan, all those in favour? Next is carried. Thank you. And excellent. Correspondence, Akara Wastewater Project. Just got receiving correspondence on that. No, that's fine. Hopefully you've all read that. We just take that as received.
Talk about that.
Over your life. I mean, sorry, I'm not the chair, but
Yes.
This one in the Agro Forum, I think.
This is the one, yes, that came from them.
Yeah, I was at that meeting, and there is a huge amount of people that are concerned about the project, the detail around the project. Yeah, I just think it should be noted, the huge number. The forum is quite a unanimous group of representation.
So you're talking about the public meeting?
On Saturday.
No, we're talking about the forum had a
Oh,
discussion
okay.
on it as well.
Yes.
And that's come from the forum.
Okay, sorry. Sorry.
which is a fairly good representation of
Very
a
solid.
lot of groups around.
Anyone's allowed to attend it as long as they're representing a group of people,
Just for the benefit of our viewing public knowledge,
right?
just for the benefit of our viewing public who aren't Akanoa based, just describing the breadth of the Akanoa forum. That's sorry.
Oh, okay. Well, you got the Civic Trust, you got all the bays ratepayers represented, you got the Akara ratepayers represented. It's just, yeah, pretty much everybody. Well, I know everybody.
Okay, yeah, that's fantastic to note, and that is noted there that there is a wide-ranging amount of concerns, and that, as I reported to the council on Wednesday, that is the case, and ongoing communication around what's happening is much needed, and just, you know, is this the right direction? Is noted as well. So, if we receive this correspondence with those things,
Just through you, Chair, I think it's fair to say that staff and elected members are extremely concerns.
Noted. Thank you.
And of course, the board, you had your information session and Akara last month. And you already received this before you, so.
Yes, yeah, that was part, yes, you're right, that was part of the whole communication that we had around on that date for the update. Yes, thank you. It's good to note. All right, so moving for that, current acceptance of correspondence. Tyrone, seconder. Nigel, all those in favour?
Aye.
Against? That's carried. Thanks, team. Got staff reports, Littleton Reserve Committee, the Uruma Training Plan report, please. That's Lyndon's.
And I'd like to invite Helen and Paul to the table.
Helen and Paul, welcome up.
Helen and Paul. The triennial plan that you have before you is from the Littleton Reserve Committee, is specifically for the Urumau Reserve this time. The committee will be developing a second plan specifically for the Whakarepo Reserve that will come to the board at a later date. This plan identifies the Reserve Committee priorities and can be used to report on progress down the line. That comes to the board for your acceptance and support. And I'll hand over to Helen and Paul to take you through the committee's goals and aspirations.
Great. Now you've all got a copy of the agenda, so page 31. So hopefully you've got it.
I think you've got 71. Yep.
So I guess, a few things to note, just as we look at this, that it is for Urumau only at this point in the plan. And obviously we knew the biodiversity study was being undertaken that we just spoke about before. And so we were hoping to be able to use that to inform a similar kind of plan for Whakarepo. So if you're sort of happy, I guess, with the way this looks for Urumau, then the idea would be to follow a similar process for Whakarepo. And just really awesome to have staff support to help us work through the plan and pull it together. We have tried to, as you'll see in the sort of the summary of the goals on the front page, we've got multiple focus areas. And so previously, the committee has been sort of focused on one thing or another. So it's either been talking more about the planting or talking about the mountain tracks. And so what we've tried to do is come up with goals about multiple focus areas so that we can then kind of hopefully hit all of those, or at least come up with sort of a balanced approach, I guess, to what we want to do or what we'd like to suggest that the staff have a look at. The other thing the reason that we've sort of brought it to you is that we're quite keen to share it with the community. There's quite an active residents around Urumau, and we wanted to show them that we are thinking about their concerns and have come up with a plan that sort of responds to those. And that sort of varies really. We've had feedback around the tracks, but also around concerns about the fire hazard up there. Obviously the planting, there's concerns about drainage and erosion sediment control. So that's why we have all of those focus areas with goals. And so what we've done, first page is basically the triennial goals for each of those things. And we have split, we've developed targets for each of 3 years under each of those headings. And so as things come up, we're also using this to help with sort of our discussion. So for example, we are going to plant some new plants coming up in this winter, and in order to sort of decide where they're going, we kind of had a bit of a look at our goals and the targets for the areas, and we've opted to go for sort of low flammability species near the kind of what's called the fire break as a priority for planting area because of some of those concerns from the community, rather than just focusing on planting kind of up in the open area. So it's kind of that's how we're intending to use it, and we'll be hassling Paul no end about his budget pretty soon. All of the things on the first year, and just trying to get things, keep things moving. The committee's been really, everybody's got their sort of, I guess, their pet topic, and so it's been great sort of bringing their expertise to the table and whatever that is. So it's working pretty well.
Tell you after tonight's meeting. Look, it's been great, a lovely collaborative group. Looking forward to meeting the new person. Are they coming tonight?
Yep, I think so, as far as I know.
Yep. So no, it's been interesting because it's something I'll talk to, but I suppose the lens that all the reserve committees are looking at this plan is slightly different. So you're probably going to get some slightly different flavours delivered to you over the next little while. But it's got to work for them. We can make it work internally. So as long as it resonates with the reserve committees, then I'm really keen to support what they're suggesting. I've deliberately sort of enabled some wriggle room because we're not sure where budgets are going to land for things, but fully support what their aspirations are. They mirror largely what we're thinking as well, and importantly, they ensure that the community is brought along with it. So we'll actually door knock before the planting happens and talk to those neighbours about what happens on the other side of their fence. And whilst we'll have our own in decision-making process, we want to make sure that they're brought along. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah.
How did the other, when they talked about weed control and the old man's beard and how it kind of was a bit of a rough start, how has that kind of come along and the weed itself?
Fine, we did the work,
Community,
and I don't look at the social media, so I'm not sure what happened, but I think in general we answered the concerns that people had and understood those concerns, but we provided enough answers as far as I know to
Yeah, I think the team that were up there got some really positive feedback from those walking past.
Yeah.
And after the first one, I think there was somebody hadn't seen a sign, so we made sure that the second time it happened, we continued to put an extra sign.
Is Brian Lodge going to be, in terms of fire resilience, he's going to look at this and go, yep.
Yeah, well, look, I don't know. They may just want short, clear grass on the opposite their place, and there's scope that we can enable some of that, but long term, a green fire resilient native planting would be better there. But we'll just go softly, and make sure that we're not. There's so much that we can do in this reserve, other stuff. So, if we are meeting some pretty staunch resistance, we'll work with that.
Okay.
But I have met with Brian not so long ago, and the important thing is that we are following the FENS independent of and still complying with that.
The good thing is Brian's other concern is drainage and not planting things is bad on the drain, bad on the erosion sediment control part. So try to.
And Anne Surgeson has got concerns about underrunners alongside your property. Is that a...
The biggest issue I've got at the moment is above.
That's right.
Another neighbour has some concerns about some underrunners.
It's very
It's the hyperlocalism of this community board. Sorry, this is
It's very encouraging to hear the ongoing community communication. As a board, we've had those two issues raised with us about the old man's beard and the fire safety. So really encouraging to hear that that's progressing and that continued communication is happening. So it's very, very encouraging. So thank you.
Sorry, I just had another question.
Yes.
Just in terms of like the neighbours, like LPC and sort of the stand of eucalypts there, and I know that there's been lots of conversations and other community members have been concerned about fire risk there, and I'm not asking for any specific comment. I'm just
we had the eucalypts on the agenda a couple of months ago, didn't we? Talked about
that's the individual eucalyptus, not the block that Tyrone's talking about. That's LPC's land.
Do we have any concerns there?
I provided a staff response to something a while ago.
I've seen some stuff there. So, same advice remains. Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Sorry.
One last thing.
If you can't answer, that's fine. Just wondering about, because the board submitted on the long-term plan about the little bit of capital funding in the long-term plan for reserve committees, and it only went through to 24-25, I think. Do you know if that's been reinstated in some way?
Well, I find that money out of my other programs, and so I've got I make a budget for it, and I'll keep on making that similar sort of budget available as long as I can. So, as good as I can answer that one. Yeah, it wasn't new money.
No.
Thank you. Right, so I think that we can get a mover to receive the plan and support this through the processes that you need to get funding for those independent projects. So if we can get the mover for that, please. Moana, and a seconder is Kathy. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Thanks very much, guys. Thanks. Thank you.
Just give you one reminder plug because I'm here.
Yes.
28th of Master Riki Day,
Yes.
planting at Takapaniki, just in case it wasn't on your radar, because it's a bit short notice, isn't it? So that'll be happening starting at 12:30. Hopefully we're going to be advertising quite widely and get a good turnout for possibly a couple of thousand plants going on the ground.
Right.
We can put that on the board's website.
Yeah, I've got a wee press thing coming out
Okay.
today. So
But we'll pick it up.
Thanks, Paul. Fantastic stuff. Okay, Ekara Recreation Ground, part change in reserve classification to local purpose. Elizabeth Hoskins.
Hello.
Hi, thanks for your time today.
That's good. Well, I did a memo
Mhm.
for this and the report, so I assume that's all is read. And are there any questions?
You go, it made so much.
Yeah.
It's all very logical.
So this is going to open up the opportunities for usage, yes. And is there any groups directly putting their hand up at the moment?
Not that I know
Just in
of.
general terms.
Yeah, not that I know of, but I'm not on the leasing side, but we have the leasing team
Yep.
who will do a report to you to enter into a lease. But the change of classification was the first step.
Okay.
So she'll be able to answer all of that. But
That's up and
certainly it sorts it out for what's been hanging around for quite a long time.
Yeah.
For the play centre.
That's great to sort out because it needs to be clear, doesn't it? Yeah.
It does,
Yeah.
it does.
Okay. Any other questions? No? It's all good sense. Okay. Can I have a mover for that, please? Nigel, and a seconder. By Ryan, all those in favour?
Right.
And against? That's
Well,
carried.
nice
Thank
to
you
meet
very
you.
much. Thank you for your time. Rolling through it, yes. Yes, I do, yeah. No, I'm not the only one.
Not that you have to.
Mhm. No, thank you for the reminder. Federal funding, change of purpose request, Akara area school and community.
I'll move it.
Well, that's fine.
The debate comes after the promotion is
Oh,
put.
straight to
Madam Chair.
Hi, guys. Stephen, Dane. Welcome to the table. Thank you. Do you have anything you want to briefly brief us on, or are we just happy to go to questions?
Yeah, go straight to questions. I assume you've read the proposal.
Yes. Are there any questions? Nope, not at this stage. Okay, so great. We have Tyrone. You wanted to move it?
Yeah.
Okay. A second, please. Nigel and all those in favour? Against? Sorry, I forgot the debate. You made me all subconscious about it, Tyrone. Hold on. Before we go to voting, is there any debate about it?
Shut down the debate.
No, because I didn't get it. Okay. All right, I'm assuming no one's busting at the gap for debate, so we will continue with the vote. All those in favour? Yes. All those against? That is carried. Thank you. Sorry about that. I just had a moment.
So I put off for a game.
You did, right. I'll get back into my zone. Right, next team. I appreciate all the hard work.
That's right, I'm here for the next
Oh,
one
you're
as
here for
well.
the next
Yeah.
one. Yeah, no, that's good. What have we got? Discretionary response fund application, Akara Volunteer Fire Brigade. Stevie, what's going on there?
Yes, so the Akara Volunteer Fire Brigade have come to DRF with a funding request for a thermal imaging drone that will help them in fire response and search and rescue response.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. No, okay, we're there already. No, yes. Moving, seconder. Alana?
Oh, debate.
Yes, Tyrone.
I'd like to speak in favour of this motion. I think the Akaroa Volunteer Fire Brigade have done a lot of really strong work lately in engaging local body and I'm just really keen to support it.
There's one step in the journey to you know, keeping an eye on that growing bush.
That's right.
You know, there will be fires and those, so to be able to see those hotspots, did they use drones on the latest fire around the hills?
And the Foothills fire they did, and I believe they had to borrow it from search and rescue, which requires it to be staffed by search and rescue as well.
Okay.
I think it's so helpful, I think. Like search and rescue, like anywhere that you need to have that sort of thermal.
Yeah, I thought about spotting possums.
Yeah, like is there just a little different pest control, totally different area, but yeah, no, very good. Okay, so all those in favour?
Right.
Against? It's carried. Thank you very much, Steffi. It's very exciting. We'd love to see it going sometime. I wonder if we could get a tour. Yeah.
The demo.
Yeah. We would love to see it tonight. Let them know. That would be very cool. It's not indoors. Oh no. It would just be like a demonstration. Okay.
We've just skipped to item 15, the staff are going to Zoom in.
Okay. Sure. So that is the discretionary response fund application started Cottage Trust. Hello. How are you doing, Andrea?
Good, thank you.
Good to see you. So have you got any points you'd like to make or just
Everything's in the matrix here, so if you have any questions.
Ooh, now what page are we up to?
107. Fine.
Okay. Recommendation. Okay. Right. So the matrix is missing. Hi, Asif. Okay. So for a dehumidifier purchase and gallery hanging system. Any questions? Okay. So we will receive the information and approve the grant. If we have a movement for that, please. Kathy? Second, please. Joanna, all those in favour?
No.
Against? Oh, I'm supposed to do this actually. Carried, that's fantastic. Thank you.
Cottage.
I'm actually going to grab a drink of water. Yes, 5-minute adjournment would be fantastic. Sorry. 5-minute adjournment. We'll be back here just at 11.
Can we consider anything while it's out?
Yeah. It doesn't need to.
Good, explain.
It was the Stoddard Cottage.
Oh, that's me.
Really appreciate it. Yeah.
I think you have to go through IT to do it for the iPads.
Oh, do
Yeah, yeah. Because no, have you got multiple? You should have
Yes,
NFA.
she's busy doing, she's just been doing that. Try Right, now it says enter new password.
Okay, it may be that you haven't got enough characters, you have got special characters, so I'm just going through the capital letter
And a number.
and the numbers.
Yeah.
The only thing is to go, it means it's been locked,
Okay.
so you have to go to IT.
Alright, we'll do that.
No, just say to IT, I just can't get in.
Okay.
Can you ring them? Yeah, no, because it sounds like it's locked. Because if you put a new password in with an S, a symbol and a capital and a 8 digits long and numbers. I'm standing here. Say no.
Okay.
for whatever. Or I had some concerns about the use of the soil. And that's what I'm getting. That's what I'm hearing.
Good. Okay, so after that little break, thank you. Thanks for the 5-minute break. I just needed to get a glass of water. Thanks everybody for that. So are we going back to number 14? Yes, Te Matahapuku Birdlings Flat Community Centre Discretionary Response Funding. We've got Jane on Zoom. Welcome, Jane.
Hi there. Sorry, the run sheet said 11:15, so I thought if I got here at 11.
I'm running ahead of time because I keep forgetting about debate, but that's my problem and I'm working on it.
What we done?
That's 15 minutes
No,
of public
I'm not. Oh my gosh.
discussion.
Please forgive me.
The
Yeah.
run sheet is just our best guess.
Yes, yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
That's all right. We were just having.
You're obviously being very efficient and timely with your work. Yeah. So yeah, the Birdlings Flat Community Centre Committee are asking for a grant to set up their community hub for community emergency response planning. They've worked very hard to working with CDEM staff to develop a response plan and look at the needs for the community, including having someone from Fire and Emergency New Zealand come out and run a session with them. They've done CPR training, defibrillator training. They've really taken to this and are now wanting to set up the community hub. And so this is equipment and a comprehensive first aid kit, as well as a radio. They researched what would be the appropriate radio that would give them direct communication with Christchurch. And so yeah, that's what the application is for.
Fantastic. Right, unless there's immediate questions, we will ask for a mover.
I'll move this.
Yeah, Tyrone's moving it. I'd like to second it, if that's okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
You jumped on this.
I did ask. So that's fine. Moving and seconded me, seconded. And any questions or debate? Tyrone.
I would definitely like to speak to this motion. I think we've had a really good public forum from Felicity Jardine this morning, and the work that's been going on in Littleton. She alluded to the work that's being done around the peninsula, around the harbour basin at least, and further afield over Gibbs Pass. And it immediately sprung to mind. I was thinking, yep, there's some really good stuff going on at Birdlings Flat, and really engaged, and people are really putting together to be able to have resilience in the face of just all sorts of civil defence matters. So I'm very happy to support this and support these types of initiatives in the community. 100%. Thank you.
Just a question. I think other community groups will be coming for the same thing. I hope we have a way of supporting.
James Novels.
Yeah.
Do you want to say something about that too?
Sorry,
Oh no, that's fine. I thought you were about to say something that was me.
okay.
About precedent. I'm thinking if we set a precedent in regards to this.
We should.
We should.
We've already supported Littleton.
Yeah.
And then there's this one,
And I
and
think Casper will be coming at some point.
Yep. So staff would be recommending within the guidelines of civil defence have provided also. So they're great. We're not over catering, but doing the needy stuff.
Yeah, we have a team strategy and plan around civil defence, community resilience planning, and are working closely with CDEM in a range of communities throughout the peninsula. So it's a body of work that we're really engaged with, and the communities are incredibly engaged with, obviously for lots of obvious reasons.
100% support this. I mean, the thing is, we're becoming more aware of how vulnerable some places are. So to be able to give communities tools and resources to help them deal with that, that's just gold as far as I'm concerned. So yeah.
And I'm aware of other community organizations that will be coming forward.
Yes.
It's good because one, they see the others doing it, and it's sort of they feed off each other and networking. Hopefully doing a lot of networking because you can benchmark and get things going in a cohesive community.
Right. Right, so no one see it. All those in favour? Yes.
Still debate.
Carried. Thank you
I
very
didn't
much.
even exercise my right of reply.
That's totally different now. I'm starting to get my head around this. I'll get there. I'll get there. I'm up for the challenge. Okay.
Lovely, thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Jane.
you.
Appreciate your time. Take care. We're up to number 16 now. Community Boards Conference. Oh, yes. Board members' attendance. Liz, would you like to talk to us about this? No?
And then probably knows more about this than I do. You'll see a report with the proposed program for the upcoming Community Boards Conference.
109.
So today we're asking the board to confirm who will attend on the board.
And you'll be aware that I sent an email out with a bit more detailed costings.
Yes. Thank you, Ben. I have a question just in terms of pecuniary matters, like, I mean, the board's effectively voting for money to support a board member and doing a thing. So do the board members you're the ones who are going, do they get to vote on this?
Yeah.
How does that work?
Yes, they can vote on that.
Okay. Right. Okay.
I'm just going to change my chair.
I thought you were just stepping back into the board advisor. You're sort of like metaphorically to offer some advice.
Okay. So good question. To clarify, is it appropriate for the
Yes.
person who are being voted for to vote on this? Yeah, that is including me.
Advise that they're not the movers and seekers.
Okay, all right. That makes no sense.
Well, I'm more than happy to move it. And then
Okay. Aaron, who do we have as a seconder?
Well, once you have some
Are we
names.
still sending 3 or 2?
Yeah.
Because
We
last
need
week
to
we
debate
talked-
about.
I mean, not last week, last time.
What would you like to add there, Arthur?
No, so the third person.
So you would like to say a third person, you'd like to discuss that?
3 people chose to. So is it still we are going with that, or someone else might be interested in it? Or we just stick with 2?
Great question. Let's discuss it. Is that appropriate to discuss it? So there's money for 3, is that right? Yeah. Okay. Do we want to send 3, and how do we do that?
You and I back up.
Back in.
Back in. Oh, I don't know.
So-
So to get back. No, you were. I think you chose the thing out of hat.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was
Yeah.
the third person.
But oh right, yeah.
So 1,000.
So are the same people still interested? And do we go with, was it the decision of the last time that third person?
It wasn't a decision, that was a
was a
discussion.
Oh, sorry, yes, the discussion of the third person last time. Do we accept that as the decision this time, or do we go through a different process for deciding the third person? Aaron.
Oh, I want this to answer, but
Oh,
I
right.
think the first thing is to gauge who is interested in going.
Okay.
I think that's your first step.
Interested and available.
Interested and available on the dates to go.
Okay.
Realising that you will probably be
Back in.
Keeping
Keeping it.
Sorry, Liz was about to finish the comment, realising that we'll have to.
realising that you've probably got a day each side as well. Or no, a day before, or the morning.
So to actually get there before the
Yeah.
conference, it could be, depending on
It's at
flights,
9
the day
o'clock,
before and or the day after.
Well, the day after is not so bad, no, because it finishes about 2 in the afternoon.
Okay, so there's more a bit of a day to get.
But to get to Wellington at 9 o'clock and by 9 o'clock.
Morning could be
So the
tricky.
question is who's available?
Yes, who's
Right.
available first?
So Nigel's available, yep, Asif's available,
What's the dates? I can't.
So 21st to the 23rd, is that right? 21st to the 23rd of August, and that's on page 109. It gives you a little bit of detail there under the recommendations. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, what else do you need to know?
But it's only Sunday that week, so.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Oh, the
Yeah,
choice.
Yeah, we'll let you away with that one, I think. Who else was available wanting to go?
Nigel, Esif and yourself, Lynn, also?
And
Yes,
Gillian.
so
Gillian from the last discussion, she was.
Yeah.
So she was keen as well.
okay.
Is she available? That was the
Yes,
question.
yes, she's available.
True.
Okay, so do we want to take just what am I repeating here again? What have you heard me say already?
How are you gonna do it? Look, I'll back off. I'm just one here.
Well, this is the
No,
second
wait,
time
you want to go, don't you?
I do want to go.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's just unfair on other people. I think anyone that wants to go and can go should go, and I think the council should find the bloody money. We get to go and pay nothing.
It's a communicable conference at the same time as well as the LGNZ at the same time. So yes, and it's both of them.
So some can go to that and some can go to that.
That is the community board conference that
Yeah.
we're talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
Not the LGNZ conference.
Oh, but are they run at the same? Is there crossover? But anyway, sorry, that's confusing things. We won't do that. Okay, so I guess the thing we need to decide is, do we want to go with a completely new decision, or do we want to supplement or add to the last decision? I want to hear that. I want to add one more. Nobody wants to say anything. There's been very polite.
I'm just a bit confused about the process here because like we're sort of trying to argue something while we haven't put a motion to just, so.
Well, I can't do a motion to move it because that's only moving two people.
I mean, for what it's worth, we can get away with it in terms of standing orders. I'm happy to say we should take 7-3 if we need all the support they can get to be effective.
So are you saying that we should approve the 3 board members and then decide who they are
You're down to
during
4
debate?
board members. Nigel, Esif, Lynn and Gillian.
I'm just thinking about process here. Is it better to approve 3 board members and then go through that process and then in discussion decide who those people are going to be? Because
You'd need advice on the budget. So at the moment, we know we can have 3. We may be able to find more budget, but I can't confirm that.
Some.
Nice.
Oh,
We would be $1,000.
But there were options.
Should be $1,000 short.
okay, thank you. I didn't have a calculator in front of me.
Well, find $1,000.
Stay with the
so as far as the recommendations here that we need to make a decision around, I'm able to say that we approve 2 board members and then we'll get a mover and seconder and then during debate we'll decide who goes.
Well, I'm happy to in the process, like to foreshadow an amendment to the officer recommendation to say that we should approve 3.
It's not a foreshadowing, that's just,
Well, not foreshadow,
it's
amendment,
just
sorry.
your board resolution. These are just officer recommendations.
So
You can do anything you wish.
So you'd like to move that?
an amendment.
Well, just move. At 3.
Yeah, I've moved that 3, yeah.
You have, board members, you will need to name the actual board
Yeah,
members,
when we do
please.
go through just to debate, we will decide that in. So I think that we'll just do one step at a time and we'll go to approving 3 board members in attendance. So we will have with that. Oh, sorry, I'd like to have a mover there, Keith. So I wrote in a second. Oh, you've already done it. Okay, so now we're in this debate discussion. Okay.
So now we can muscle it out.
Thank you, Liz.
You didn't have to do that, because what you're going to be doing in your final resolution is name the people, because I need the names in the resolution.
Yeah, so that's.
They've just done extra.
Okay, good. Yep. All right. So now we need to decide. There's 2 processes that I can see we can decide between. So you can go with the 2 people who've already been decided, and then add 1 more person, or you can just. That's what I see as most clean. Probably the lead, like least messy. But if people are wanting to redo
Is
them.
there a conflict of interest here, Madam Chair?
Well, that's why I'm including the second, yes, yes.
There it is, yeah, so the best thing I think is we should put the names of the people, toss it so that no one has conflict of interest and no one knows that what they're picking, just pick 3 names. And then in that way, we are not saying that you shouldn't go because you have done the last. So we are kind of a luck.
So you already did that for the first 2.
Yeah, so we just,
with Julian and Lynn.
Yeah.
And now you've got an extra person.
yeah, we could do the
To
same,
consider.
I think, yeah.
So, right, Jim, so what?
I don't, I
your 2
would
names in
feel,
hand.
yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
I'd pull out for you, Asif. Stand down.
No, you want,
Oh, no, that's fine.
You want
I-
to put your name in the
No.
hat out of you 2.
You'll be here longer than me.
you go, well then, okay. So then I can't second. Yep,
Right, so if I put a pen in my hand and put it behind my back, if one of you chooses, whoever gets the pen gets the prize. Is that right? Does it work?
no, Nigel is stepping down.
You're back down, he's
Yeah.
stepping back.
I think really what I was trying to, I do really want to go. I would even be prepared to pay for myself because I got so much out of it last time. But I'm doing this and dragging it on just more as a protest.
Right.
About the lack of support we get as individual people.
I'm happy to chip in for the extra $1,000 if we could include 4th person.
What did you say?
Well, he's talking about the 4th person.
4th
We're only
person.
$1,000 short.
Well, that's right, you're $1,000 short
So
by the estimates.
what you could do in the resolution is name the 3 people that wish to go. And if budget allows, that's the 4th person's name could attend. I know, but just trying to.
So who's definitely not going?
If budget allows.
Oh, sorry. So Asif has raised the point of paying off contributor.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
never
I'm happy
discussed
to
that.
contribute
Okay,
to take.
so-
on.
Yeah, so overall, you're around about $1,000 short. When that travel stuff was guesstimated, you're around about $1,000 short for a 4th person to go. Asif has said he'd be willing to contribute some.
No, I'm happy to contribute
And
too.
Nigel's
as I
happy
always
to
have to.
contribute. Okay, so then it comes back to what Liz said, which is as budget allows, if we can work offline around how to cover those costs, see what we can, we may be able to get cheaper travel or something that maybe stretches it further.
Yeah, I just need the
Yeah, sure.
names because the resolution is required to have the names and that's how I
That's
can get travel.
Okay, and so it will be something like, and Nigel, if budget allows.
Nigel, if budget allows.
Yes.
As if it's fair to contribute to that, I thank you very much for that.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm sure I'll be able to return the favours.
Okay, so what else do we need there to make that?
Come back full of
Okay, we need to have
knowledge.
that.
So I have yourself, Lynn, Asif and Julian.
Mhm.
And is if budget, yeah. Top of my head, and if budget allows, Nigel Harrison. to attend.
All those in favour? Against? It's carried.
Thank you.
Although, shouldn't be seconding it, Nigel.
No.
And Luana, thank you. Thanks. Oh my goodness. We're there.
Thank you.
Ki Pātaka Rākaihautū expenditure input area report.
You'll see a lot of work in there around response planning.
Yes.
Over the district. There aren't any specific issues for you to decide. So I'm happy to take questions. The team is happy to take questions, although most of the teams deserted. I'm sure we can cope. If there are no questions, what I would like to do
has introduced to the board our new community development advisor for who's replaced Tricia Benton's role. So it's a community development advisor role, not a recreation advisor role. And I'd like you to turn around and welcome Jo Wells. Yeah, so Jo, this is week 2. Week 2 on deck. Jo has worked with the council before in governance teams, so she's very familiar with the structure and content and what have you. And she's already been getting down and dirty around Whakarapo, which is where this will be, working alongside Andrea, and they're just busy looking at strengths and capabilities and all the issues that are going on. So, so welcome.
Thank you. Should we introduce ourselves?
Yeah, that would be great. If you want to come and tell us a little bit about yourself. Thanks, Nigel. Good thinking.
Kia ora, I'm Jo. As Ken alluded to, I have worked at the council previously for about 8 years, and then I just took a bit of a, I suppose, opportunity that popped up actually when I was working in the what was Sprayton Cashmere area at the time at Huipa Canterbury. So I was working there and sort of focused on a project there for a couple of years, which was great, and saw that project through, and then have now come back, and it's really great to get to know Banks Peninsula, and it's a vast area and some amazing things happening. So just kind of ready to absorb and learn and see how I can kind of get involved and help.
The recreation grounds have their meeting, their reserves, and they would love to have you come along as much as you can, because Trish comes, so that would be, they'd love to connect.
Let us know what we can do too to be helpful. Yeah. That would mean that, feel free to ask, feel free to bunch.
Thank you.
Did you want us to introduce ourselves?
Yeah, I'm Nigel, Deputy Chair, and I represent Whakarapo and the Banks. It's my session 4. I still don't know bloody thing about how.
Thank you for saying that.
I'm Luana. I represent Mount Hebrews, and it's about looking through to looking at still don't know.
Seems to be a running thing. Same sis. I'm from Wariwa. Wariwa, Little River, Peninsula area. Been the chair for coming up a year. So yeah, same sis still. So it's same sis. What did you bring out?
It's only last year.
Yeah. Okay, but yeah, my first term as well.
Kia ora, I'm Tyrone Fields. I'm the City Council of Banks Peninsula, and I'm sorry to tell you, my colleagues, it doesn't get any easier. Yeah, so lovely, welcome on board.
Thank you. Kathy, so Littleton subdivision goes from Cass Bay to Littleton. Cool. Thank you.
I'll just really love to see any questions. So, requests is something that I keep an eye on. Oh, any word back on Tāwhaki? That we've invited them to bring in, give an update on that.
Aerospace. The CEO's way overseas at the moment.
Fantastic. Yep. Keen to hear that update. That's something that's she's right that a month. Okay. Thank you. Unless there's any other questions or clarifications around that, have a mover for receiving the report. Luana? Please. Thank
I think
you.
it's quick on the draw.
And you're
I saw about a
okay
quarter of
there.
my way.
No questions on the vote, and all those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you very much, Ben. Now we're on to elected members information exchange. Don't look at me at this point in time because I'll pick on you. Nigel's ready to go. He's got it all sorted.
What have we got today for us, Nige?
I think I've been mulling over a whole lot of things, and I guess as you know, you were there, Tyrone. We attended a meeting, a public meeting that was called by it was chaired by Lee Robinson, and had the Civic Trust talking, and we had Ekara ratepayers, and they're all unanimously concerned about the wastewater. I don't think has it been publicly notified yet? I don't think it has. So I just wanted to read something out. I actually Googled what our role was as a community person. They give a voice to specific communities within a council catchment and act as representatives, advocates, and connected to those communities. Now, I've never seen a community so strongly united, and I want to know, and I know Asif sits with me in this, how we go forward and advocate around this when we can't get involved with resource consents. I'm asking, how does our advocacy sit in this? Because we represent those people. We're talking a hell of a lot of people. It's like, talk about storm surges and inundation. Well, we're being inundated through the storm surge concern. So I'd really like to have some feedback on that, because I know we've already had this conversation. The only other thing I want to talk about, and I'll just touch on it, because Asif has been communicating backwards and forwards with the Croquet Club, is around the lease extension and the fact that we okayed, and I moved it, and Asif seconded it, that the account staff came to us and asked if they could go into negotiation with a continued lease of that, and we did it in good faith, say yes, and then they went to 264% increase on the lease cost for this small club. It's a bit of concern around that, which really would like to understand the process, but I'll let Asif talk a little bit more about that, because he's been doing the communication. But just my name's on it, and sort of like suddenly, we thought we were just asking them to go away and have a conversation, extend the lease to continuity of the club itself, not necessarily go in and zap them, pull the rug out from them. But that's up me. Is that all right?
It's already been logged, I believe, the query about it's the Croquet Club, the
Yes.
lease you're talking about.
Yeah.
And the answer
Sorry.
there was an initial response that came back from property staff.
Yes, so that response says that the staff asked the community board, and it was moved by Nigel and seconded by me. Yes, the information that was proposed in their report was there, but we were not aware that it was going to be 268.8% increase in the rate. So we did what information was provided in their report, what was around 900 and something. And so if you ask me for a new lease, that $1,000 or 900 and something that was proposed was a good rate. But an increase on 268, that is not. I think that's why we are getting these phone calls and emails from members of our community. And they are already putting significant effort into maintaining those grounds. In the letter that they sent, 4,500 they already put in maintaining the grass, and the ground they can't use throughout the year, but they only use in the season. And a section of the building that the Croquet Club places is shared with a couple of other informal clubs. So one will be formal now. I think the council is in the process of negotiation with the sports complex, and the bridge club. So what they are asking is fair in terms of sharing the cost in terms of maintenance of their building. And I think it's not fair that they are getting 268.8% increase in rates. So we would like staff to revisit this and justify why it is being, why they have proposed this increase. And I think bring that information back to the board so that we can do.
I know the staff member has been trying to bring me this morning, so I didn't.
Okay, yeah. Thank you very much.
Imagine it would have been quite a shock to see that bill come from. Sure. Unless there's anything else to add to that, should we go to the information exchange or? Okay,
That's fine. We're not doing it. There's no action from the
No.
news exchange. It's just it's already in train.
Yeah, I understand.
And while I'm on that, I'll just add
We
one.
can go around that
Yeah,
way if you want
okay.
to start.
Yeah, so I'll mention. And the same, for wastewater. I couldn't attend the meeting. I was away that day. But if we put that rate increase for that project to the ACRA and the base community, instead of asking every other ratepayers on the city council to pay, then the rate that every individual is paying for that very project is going to be significantly high. So we must look into the voices of the community, what the majority is saying, and where the council sits at the moment, what we are hearing, Nigel and myself, majority of the community seems very upset about that project, how it is being tackled at the moment, and especially the possibility of the outflow of raw sewer into the children that harbor in that area, Children's Bay. And this project, quite a few estimates have been wrong in the past. And from our last meeting, the population estimates were didn't add up with the total cost, flow of water during peak season, and that is not including the peak visitor number that the council at the moment has got no data on that. So we are looking at the only information that the council has and that could access to is the electronic card transactions, and which is not reliable because quite a lot of older people that are the visiting Peninsula, they prefer cash. So there's a lot of concern around this whole project. So just wanted to convey this message that Nigel and I have been in contact with. And thank you.
Is there anything else from FRI that you want to report on this one?
No, thank you.
Nope,
And
all good.
at this stage, thank you.
Yeah, Littleton is good, lots of community work. I think it was so nice to hear from Paul and Duncan, and we just hope at some point something good can come from the community. It's so good to see when the community want to drive things, and which also is that lets the energy stuff as well. They had their first AGM, congratulations, it was successful, ideas were rolling. Tyrone was saying, it's so good that you mentioned the solar project. And Malcolm was sitting in the crowd.
Yeah.
And we're like, Ian,
Ian
like,
Fatley.
Ian's here. Yeah, and
So,
yeah, it was great. So they had their first AGM. Keep Christchurch Beautiful were doing their awards with schools on waste minimisation, beautifying their schools. So Governor's Bay got recognised, and Diamond Harbour, so that was cool. I went around to the schools to drop off their tree, which was a children's tree for their schools. And then in May, they did the Mother of All cleanups, and apparently it was a Littleton person that set up Mother of All cleanups. So that was really cool to hear. And we did some cleanup in the bay. The beach was pretty clean, but the walkways are not really, and collected bags and bags of rubbish around the car park area. So we're hoping that maybe the volunteers, especially the teenagers that did all the climbing around the slopes and stuff, could come and tell you what they collected and how, around these public spaces where there's so much littering, just over the bank and probably go straight into the river, into the ocean. One of the worst things they collected was like computer parts. Like, so basically people are going to public car park and just tossing it overall. Lots of cigarette butts and things like that. So yeah, just a bit of community connection. What's happening? That's good.
Thank you.
Me, okay. So probably primarily front of mind for me lately has been, and you will have all seen it, as the council decided on the took the recommendation that this board had given going the window and just running over there. And thank you to Lynn who fronted the staff presentation there, and you will have noted that councillors voted unanimously to support. There were some very minor tweaks to the council resolution.
Did you watch it actually?
I'm sure it was riveting. But look, I mean, I mean, obviously, the reason I'm raising it is because, first of all, I think it's important to note that it was unanimous. And councillors felt very strongly that what was proposed was a good use of that land, and that importantly, the board had listened to the concerns of the community and raised those appropriately, and that those have been addressed in a manner that could create the conditions for moving forward. That's what it's all really about. So that was really positive to be involved with that. So I'm really proud that everybody in the staff, this board, and council staff and the council have done. So that was really good. Obviously the other big issue, I'll come to the wastewater in a minute. That's the other big issue for I'm on the Royal Donald Trust, and we welcomed 5 new trustees onto the trust just over the last few weeks. So I had an induction session with them. We've got some incredibly high caliber trustees on the Royal Donald Trust. So it's really, really exciting to. I don't want to single any of them out. They're all really, really skillful people, and it's really good to be involved with that. What else? Oh yeah, so in terms of the long-term plan, which we've all been involved with, we're just going through a process now where councillors have been logging amendments to the plan. A few based on the submissions that we got through the hearings Peninsula and around. It's probably, if you haven't heard me say it already, because I'm quite proud of this, basically 1 in 5 oral submissions was from Manx Peninsula. I'll say that again, 1 in 5, which is makes my job easier or harder depending on how you look at it. It's certainly a lot of scrutiny, but it's really good to get that level of engagement. I think that's really, really, really positive. So we're going through the amendments process at the moment, and we'll be considering those in the coming weeks. We're near on the leaderboard on that one, but anyway. And just to touch on the Ākanoa wastewater, there's nothing to add that hasn't been said already, but obviously, like, it's a really high, it's a high profile thing. I think the thing that I really want to point out is that there have been some. I mean, it's a process to go through. advocating for the community, but it has to be really, really clear what the community actually, what it is that they're actually after. And that's a constructive engagement, sort of landing on what that is. But there have been some calls for the budget for the wastewater scheme to be scrapped or whatever it is. So that's $100 million that we've got in budget for that. So I'm just going to say that right here, the budget, that is not going to happen. I haven't seen all, it's, let me rephrase that. I don't sense, because obviously I can't predetermine anything, I don't sense that there's any desire for that. It's been on budget, it's not impacting the rates, it's been on budget for some time, and Akaroa does need to have a wastewater scheme. And it's just it's about discussing about what that's going to look like in the moment. I just want to reiterate, I'm not determining any decision on whether or not that's going to stay on budget, just to be clear. So I can't do that. And what else? I think went to just one final thing actually, and went to the predator-free Banks Peninsula Partners Hilly. I've actually been to a couple of pest-free Banks Peninsula, sorry. Been to a couple of hilly around pests and sort of stuff from Banks Peninsula. I went to a hilly for the Whakaora pest project as well in the last month, and it's just a lot of again acknowledging all the really great work that gets done there. The Partners Hilly was held at Wairewa on the marae. First timer for me on that marae, so that was really, really good and special. And just a lot of it's great to get everybody together and just learn about what they're doing, sort of some various communities around the peninsula, what's happening there. So that's it for me.
Great. That's all right. Good stuff. Readings about toilets. I think they're working on that. Toilets in the river. Just inquiring about phase 2 when phase 2 starts. So that's to do with the not inquiring here, but just that's what I'm working on with the communities when phase 2 starts, which is to do with the holding tank as far as that, because as is becoming a bit of a theme, it's very unknown the amount of visitors that use Banks Peninsula at this point in time, so it's hard to know how much is needed for infrastructure. So that's quite an interesting thing that's bubbling up a little bit at the moment, so maybe we can do some more on that. But anyway, so that's the river toilets, resilience stuff going on there. So we just really try to find somebody who's had to spearhead the planning project on that one, and hopefully we've got some people in mind there, because we can see great work that's going on in other places and how it really works well, and the need is there in Wairewa. Weddings flats up and going. Rail trail, there's some work, so Rod Donald Trust is now working with the rail trail and the River Wairewa Community Trust in regards to looking at a project around the terminus and beautifying that and making that more of a welcoming or finishing, yay, kind of spot. When you start or you stop, that is the obvious place for it. So there's some exciting possibilities in the pipeline there. And just waiting for flooding group mitigation sort of a report to come in about getting data where the areas of inundation are and where it's coming from and where we need to where we need to focus on. So we're just waiting on that due at any point in time. So that will be really good. So then we'll be able to identify where we need to move forward from. And that seems to be about it for me. If not there, because it will. Yay. No, that's a good point. Let me have a look. Well, we were supposed to be public excluded by now, but you've got to know.
Just a few things. I was going to mention the ongoing disruptions and miscommunication with the roadworks.
It's good, thank you.
Personally had an issue. A sales from me came over to Dyer's Pass was no notification that the road had been closed from Governor's Bay through Rākaihautū, so to go back over again. So just ongoing frustrations picking up online as well. Yeah. I also sit on a couple of trusts not associated with this, Rākaihautū Reserves Committee, so the Little Schoolhouse, redevelopment of that. So thank you to the council who gave $400,000, I think, to the restoration of that. An additional $300,000 has been sought, so public funding has gone out around that. Again in Rākaihautū, I don't know, we've had ongoing issues again around boy races, people stopping at the bus shelter in Rākaihautū. I think we're repainting the bus shelter because of graffiti it seems like every few weeks. I don't know if we can get a security camera in that area and lighting. It's a bit of a strange one. I've mentioned it at the United meetings before, but because that little area there was our family land, was taken as part of the voting. There's always been a bit of a push around who was actually responsible for that. So it is supposedly part of the council reserve. So I don't know if we can get lighting, security camera, something in that area to deter boy races, people stopping.
Maybe we should close the road.
I look, I thought about that's where the bus goes in. Yeah, actually thought about. Yeah, I've spray painted on the bus shelter myself.
Just get full hanging in there.
People
to
not
take
being
up the
allowed
road.
to park here because we've had issues with the bus not being able to get through. So that's messy. Yeah. Bit of concern last week, Ekin talking about stopping or looking at school buses funding the Hartford this year. That's going to be something that was Kathy and I kind of for many months very hard to get here. We're very hard to get, so that's
And on cruise ship days as well, so there's
Yeah,
something
that's
we
right.
have to address as well.
But now are you the buses from Raipura over the hill to Kashmir? Yes, okay, because we worked very hard on Rākaihautū this way, but if the Ministry of Education is looking on that way, that's a whole new project. Yeah. And then through government so far.
yeah, so that was unfortunate to read. Met with Graham from Diamond Harbour Reserves Committee a few weeks ago, and it was kind of evident to me that there was a lot of I suppose in terms of efficiencies and communication, a lot of groups aren't communicating with each other. How can we support collaboration here? Can we have a forum, a source for community groups to come together? At work, I heard about another thing that was happening, was like speed dating for social service groups. Came together, had 5 minutes to talk to each other, give their cards, just talk a little bit about what they were doing. How can we actually encourage that collaboration? I know that, oftentimes we're the ones who can do that, but time is, which area? Diamond Harbour. So there was a community association. They weren't too sure what some of the other reserves were doing. So just the communication between them.
That's effectively what the Akaroa Base Forum does, doesn't it?
Yeah, just like
Yeah, what can we do?
It's like a super group.
Not only them, but just
Yes.
wider.
Super group, yes.
Ooh.
Very rarely get
The networking
agree
type
on
thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why it's called super group.
Just how we can do something.
Yeah, I thought that the community association and the reserve committees were pretty well
I think with
interlinked
other,
because they've got common people on them.
I think just with other groups that are operating within the areas, some of the things that they're doing that not reduce efficiencies as well.
Right, so they're not linked in with the community association?
No, well, no, not just them, but just things like just every group in their communities.
And the health hub.
Yeah.
So we have the Littleton Harbour Network. Littleton Harbour Network, so is that what you?
I'm just trying to think, how can we reduce inefficiencies when we've got groups who are doing similar things in areas, spending money, using money, and maybe there's collaboration, greater collaboration that can support each other, even volunteering.
Yeah. It's always, I'd be surprised if the Reserve Committee and the Diamond Harbour Residents Association are talking to each other because
same,
they're the same chair.
But you've obviously seen an opportunity
Yeah,
then.
just in chats with Graham.
Guess what I'm saying.
Yeah. Anyway.
Jenny, we talked to Jenny.
You're also speaking about the school, closing the school, gone through. There were a few concerns again that they had from the committee, but mostly it was around transport. So we heard about around how can we make, talking about the bus, the Diamond Harbour, Kishmir bus, where they can utilise those one way. It's empty. Why not? Students going out, same thing coming back.
It's interesting.
Yeah. Gain inefficiencies. Talking about rubbish, whenever I take the dog out, there's always a lot of rubbish on the roads. Usually I think it's people just throwing it out. Cars, normally it's, alcohol, it's cans, beer cans, fast food, rubbish ones or anything like that. I just want to shout out to the Governors Bay Jetty Restoration Trust as well. Their chair, Prue and Secretary Lou did a fundraising thing recently, jumping off.
Oh, have they done that?
Yeah, well, it's I think it was this weekend when they were doing that midwinter swim. Which is, I know. I think Ruben used to do that. But yeah, just trying to paying down on the road. So some really great things.
It's just the sort of above and beyond thing. That's taken.
Sorry, that was a bit of a speed talk.
So thank you. No, that was good. Covered a lot of stuff there. Thanks very much.
You missed a few meetings.
I know.
Thanks everybody. Thanks for the roundup on what your areas are up to. I think we'll move on to the next thing. So there's a public excluded part, but there's also, it says here, declarations of interest for the public excluded part. Okay, we'll do the declarations before we go into it. So as you can see from your agenda, what that's going into for, because if I speak about it now, it won't be publicly excluded. It's tricky. Okay, so if you've got any declarations of interest about the thing I'm not allowed to talk about, that you've got it on your agenda, let me know now.
I don't think I do because I can't see my agenda.
Oh, true.
So what are we doing?
Nice. That's a good one.
Right.
So on page, let me help you out a little bit. The page,
Can I just share something?
yes, please do.
So in the area report, there was a note saying that Recon Sport were considering funding subsidising the school pool passes in Aotearoa, and I've just had a text from Stephanie to say that they've approved $3,000 this morning to subsidise those passes for families. So Stephanie will work with Heartlands and the school. So that's a big boon, isn't it? Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That'll smooth the water.
Yes,
Option B.
Where is it?
It's a strong option.
It's in a different part of Big Tin.
All right, we're just going into public exclude now, folks, for those online. We have removed and settled it. We have to do the resolution. Yes, I was going to say. So can I have a mover that we go to publicly excluded and then all will be reviewed? Yes, Nigel is the mover, seconder, Lorana. Thank you. All those in favour? Against? It's carried. Thank you.